Hi, can everyone hear me and see me? Yes. Okay. So, hello everyone. I'm Cynthia. So before we begin, we have set up a Slido again. So I'm gonna put the link here as well as the hashtag. There it is. So this is for any questions that you might have for committee. I guess I'll be checking it. I don't know if committees has the page up, but if you have any questions, I'll ask them when it seems to be like an appropriate time. Also, how long do I have for this?
About an hour.
Okay.
Yeah, until 10-ish. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. So yeah, committee is going to do a bit of an introduction about themselves first before we get started with the questions.
Yeah.
So
I'll start.
okay.
Good start, guys. Good start.
So, hi everyone. If you don't know me already, I'm Josh. I'm going into my 4th year at McMaster University studying commerce, and this is my 3rd GT. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Francis. Currently, I'm an engineer and working on graphics cards, doing design verification for power-related system on chip design. And this is my 4th GT. So my first GT was back in 2014, and then it was 2018, GT19, and this year. So my 4th GT.
Hey everyone, my name's Jason. I am currently working as an accountant in some accounting firm. It's terribly boring. I've been to, I think, like 8 GTs, something in that range. I've been going every year since 2012, except for 2018. Yeah, that's it.
Hello, everyone. My name is Victoria. I'm currently the web coordinator at a public library. Just recently graduated from my master's, and I specialized in UX design and library and information science. And I believe this is my 5th GT.
Hi, everyone. My name is Katie. I'm currently working as a pediatric nurse. And I think this is my 6th or 7th GT, one of those.
Hey everyone, and I'm Stephanie. So this is my 3rd GT, and I just graduated from University of Waterloo in environmental science, but I will be starting my master's this September in the same program.
All right, thanks committee for your introductions. So yeah, we'll start off with our first question. We'll kick it off with something kind of fun. So the first question I have for you guys is, using colors, describe your spiritual life pre-committee and post-committee, as well as your relationship with Christ. So using colors.
Francis has been preparing for this question for like 3 weeks, so
I haven't, but I don't know, like using colors might be like a bit difficult, but I guess in terms of like particular color before, I'm not really sure, but like the current color that could really like, I guess like it's like an embodiment of like my spiritual life. I guess it's, yeah, purple is like a good representation of it. And I guess you can kind of see it like on our t-shirt and how like it's, yeah, it's like a representation of like intentional discipleship and how we have to, it's really about the onus is on ourselves. It's on like to develop like a better like and more intentional relationship with Christ. And how I have to say that like this has been kind of like affected by like committee is like between like being on committee like and having like everyone like around me to basically encourage me to pursue a better and more consistent prayer life. And yeah, like most of this is like related to like accountability, and like having people to keep you accountable definitely does help me like progress in developing like a better prayer life. And I'd say like before committee, my prayer life wasn't really present, and it was definitely not like a daily thing that I do. So I have to say that like with committee and by basically trying to like live out the theme that we have for this year with like intentional discipleship, that really has kind of been like the main part of like my experience, I'd say. And yeah, it's yeah, like so it's basically like in terms of like my prayer life, it's been growing throughout like this past year, and especially like over like the past couple of months, especially downloading the Hollow app, which is on page 147 of the handbook. It's a really good app, and it does help me like keep me on track and keep me on like focused on like my prayer life. To there's like a daily tracker in there, and like with that, it kind of like motivates me to like pursue like to continue like a streak per se. So it's like some small goals, like some small achievements, and like with that, I'd say like, yeah, like currently with the help of the app, I'm able to continue like a 10 to 15 minute prayer life, and which wasn't there before. And obviously like moving forward, this is probably something that I will continue. But yeah, like obviously it's still like an area of growth. Like there's still like a lot of room for growth in this particular area, but yeah, so I'd say like I had taken on the ownership and of like this particular task, and I think purple is probably like the best color to represent this.
Man, I think we can end committee sharing after that. Okay. I have no idea for me. I'm colorblind in case you guys don't know. I would say maybe like, I'm thinking maybe green, because green is the color of ordinary time. And, right? That's correct, right?
Yeah.
And I think just thinking about the way I have spiritual life, it's really, I try to keep it steady. I'm not someone who has a lot of like emotional ups and downs, and similarly, I don't have a lot of like spiritual ups and downs. So I think that's pretty relevant to like, yeah, the course of my faith life before committee, even now. That's not to say that there hasn't been progression. I certainly hope there has been, especially within the last year being on committee, but I think green would work, assuming I've identified it correctly.
Okay, for me, so the before and after, I would say before, my spiritual life was like a orange. I don't know, this is completely arbitrary, so I don't think it actually is, but like orange to me is like a very comfy color. And I felt like before, I just lived a very comfy spiritual life. Like everything seemed a lot very easy. Life was a lot less stressful. And then throughout the year of being on committee and just life, that spiritual life turned into one of red, going on with the liturgical colors. Like red's the color of the martyrs, and this time has been a lot about sacrifice and struggle, mostly because of COVID, and just like committee has been working so hard day and night for this retreat, and through that it's like you just have to give up a lot, just like of yourself, just to trust in Jesus and say, yeah, I can't do this, and to just offer up your own sufferings. And yeah, that's one thing that really has been coming down upon me this whole committee season, and definitely have helped my relationship with Christ, especially my understanding in relation to the cross. Yeah.
I think for me, before GT, I would say my spiritual life could be described as yellow. I say yellow because it was just kind of like steady going and kind of mellow. I couldn't say that I tried very hard, I guess, in forming that relationship with Christ. And I was just kind of doing kind of the minimal, I guess, to get by. Like I was going to church every Sunday. I would pray for meals and stuff, but I wouldn't say I was prioritizing it or kind of yeah, prioritizing it in my life to create that strong relationship with God. But since GT, like since this whole year, I think I've been really inspired by all our committee members and our sharings. Each of them have inspired me to cultivate my own and kind of they've motivated me and inspired me to grow in my own spiritual life and to grow in my relationship with God. So now I would say it's like turning into like think of like a traffic light. Now it's turning into a green light, I would say. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Those are great answers. It was a lot more like in depth than I had anticipated. Yeah, that's great. So you guys kind of touched upon like the fruits that you gained from like this whole experience a little bit and how you grew. I also wanted to ask, like, because of the strange pandemic that is COVID-19 this year, you guys had to adapt kind of quickly, honestly, and have a lot of difficulties doing that to put on a virtual retreat. So honestly, like I applaud you guys for, and everyone that was involved behind the scenes, like multimedia team, for just putting this together for the first time ever in GT history. So yeah, great work for you guys. Yeah, so the question is, what fruits have you gained from being on committee specifically during COVID-19 that you may not have received otherwise, like during a normal committee year?
Thanks, Cynthia.
Go.
Yeah, like I mean, definitely, like it wasn't just the six of us. There have been a lot of people working behind the scenes. Like, I mean, we'll give an official thank you tomorrow, but like, yeah, there've been a lot of people who have really helped us through and like have been really flexible and adaptive to this entire situation. I think like none of us expected to have a virtual retreat. I think we all wanted or was hoping for an in-person retreat because I know that this retreat means a lot to like this community, just like being able to come back to reconnect with others and like meet new people and just like overall be in a space like a very like scenic and natural area to really reflect and like pray to God. I think that's something that a lot of people look forward to every year. But obviously because of COVID, like we weren't able to have that, but we still tried our best to adapt to the situation. I'd say that like for myself, like I feel very blessed that we're still able to facilitate something like this, that we're still able to meet others, even if it's on a virtual platform. I think like it has really like opened my eyes and like I guess just feel more grateful for the people in my life. Like I think like post-COVID, I was living in Waterloo with my roommates, and obviously like the church was just like 5 minutes away, so I could always just go there to pray. And I've always like loved just being in the chapel and being able to pray in front of Jesus. It meant a lot to me because I think I always struggled with prayer, and being able to just focus in a chapel on him was really helped me to put me in the mood. But since COVID, I think I've really had to restructure my prayer life and kind of like, and it's been difficult, I think, because like I get like really lazy at home sometimes. I like might forget to pray or just like fall asleep or just push prayer away. But and it's, I guess with the help of my family, like I was really surprised because my dad actually in the beginning of COVID, he actually asked my family like, could we pray a rosary every night together? And I really like that really surprised me because I didn't think that my dad would ever suggest something like that. But being able to pray the rosary like on a daily basis and with my family, like that was amazing. And I think like I really wanted to be able to share that with the community too. And I think like after discussions with committee, we decided to have our weekly rosary prayers. And I mean, like I'm sure you guys have attended those as well. And it's just like really amazing, and how like the community just comes together to like pray, I think is really beautiful. And so just like that has really opened my eyes, I think, like, yeah, and really strengthened my prayer life through that. And being able to share that with the community too. It's been amazing.
I think I can go. So for me, like being on committee during like a COVID year instead of like a regular year, like yeah, like COVID does like bring about like different like differences in terms of like the particular task associated with being on committee. So like obviously like in a regular committee year, we would be like reaching out to like more of the parishes, doing more fundraisers, and I guess like yeah, that's like a part of like the committee tasks that are more like in line with like my spiritual gifts of like administration and service. And yeah, it's like those tasks like during those a regular non-COVID year would be related to that, but those are kind of like my strengths already. And going into committee this year, I think an area that I particularly needed growth in was like related to like my prayer life and like my spiritual life. And what COVID brought was like an opportunity to like focus more on that, to focus more on my personal prayer life. And like as Steph mentioned about different, like the rosary that we, like the weekly rosary that we had and that we hosted for the community. Like through attending those, like I guess I got like a greater appreciation of the rosary, and that has helped with like my spiritual life. And along with that is what like before COVID hit, I guess, yeah. So like before COVID hit, I was able to go, had opportunity and was fortunate enough to be able to go to adoration at least like monthly, like for ever since I was on committee. And it kind of sucked when like COVID hit and that kind of stopped. So so it's like with that, and then when we had like our online adoration, it made me realize like how much I actually do value like adoration and how much I do value Blessed Sacrament. So it's kind of allowed me to see it in like a different perspective and to value it more. And that's the same with Mass as well. So I'd say like being on committee during COVID is allowed me to like have like this support network during this difficult time, and to encourage me to basically further my spiritual life despite the circumstances. So in a sense, like it, like yeah, like a part of it didn't really play to like my strengths, but I guess you could say that it's like a blessing in disguise. So yeah.
I think for me, or what I like the fruits that I've gained, or like as a committee, what we gained was that we were able to truly put our faith to the test and truly offer everything up to the Lord, and put our trust in him, like let it be done according to his will. So at the start of like when we went to discernment, no one would have guessed that this year would have been a COVID year. We went in with the expectation that it was going to be in person, but then around March, the pandemic hit the world, kind of thing. And so when we started to plan, we really, we were planning for an in-person retreat. But then later on, as we monitored the news, we realized that it was not possible, or it would be very risky and not safe for us, for our speakers, for our campers. And so we did a lot of praying together and really placing our trust in him. And it was a really tough decision to not have it in person, and we struggled, and I think some of our working team leaders and members also struggled as well, because we really wanted to have something in person for everyone to experience, because although virtually we're able to join together, but sometimes just being in person, it's a totally different experience. And so this whole experience made us really like practice our faith, and really made us realize that it's not what we want, it's what God wants and what's his will. So whatever it is, what we're doing, revolve it around God. And so even though we may not have preferred it to be virtual, like we would have preferred it to be in person, I think what we learned was to trust in him, and the fruits that we gained from trusting in God and following his will was that we were able to strengthen our GT community. We were able to expand it to people who were from Oshawa, from Hong Kong, from the US. Like this wouldn't have been possible if it was in person. What some of my committee members have already shared was that we were able to have weekly prayer sessions that we never had before. Like this was an opportunity to help us strengthen our prayer life. And also we were able to really, with the help of our team, really get our social media posts going. Whether it be small reminders or just sharing our faith together on the social media platform. Like I think this year was one of the years that was very active. And so those were the fruits that came with with COVID. Although there were things that we might have wished or preferred to have happened, but I think it was all in God's plan. Like this year, He wanted us to try to like expand our circle and also look at new ways on how we can maybe further reach out to other people to have them join our GT community. So I think those are the fruits that we had, or well, I had.
Let's move on. Okay, so yeah, all three of you kind of touched upon the topic of community. So Steph and all three of you actually talked about like your weekly rosary sessions with the GT community. And as people who are returning to GT may know, our community is very strong and it's something that we all really value a lot. And people who are joining us for the first time, I hope that, or we all hope that you can feel that same sense of community after joining us for this weekend. So my next question is actually about community. So what is something new you learned about the GT community, whether that's like between yourselves or the speakers that you worked with, or even the working team leads and members? What have you learned about the community during this experience?
Great question, Cynthia. I don't have an answer.
You there? Oh, okay.
Josh, are you taking it?
Yeah, I am. I am taking it. Okay, so one of the coolest things about the GT community is how diverse it has really become. I'm not saying that just because I'm the only Chinese here. But, yeah, just looking at our leads and looking at the how many Indonesians do we have as leads? 3?
Quite a few.
Yeah,
That's enough.
Oh, 4. Yeah.
No.
If I forgot you or I miscounted, I'm sorry. But yeah, it's just like been extremely cool. And it's kind of just like coming out of my out of the end tail of last GT and going to this into this committee season. It's really evident that the Holy Spirit really moves in this community in a way that is very special. It really brings people together. Like for a community that really only gathers once a year, people are coming back for like 8, 9, 10 years and still kicking it around. So I think that's very cool. Yeah.
You know what? I'll expand on that. Yeah, just because I know that like my parents were part of the generation that helped found GT, and so that was like 43 years ago, I think. And to see how it's come, decade by decade, and then even the last 5 years, literally like how Josh was saying, for example, just as an example, right? The Indonesian community, Josh is the first non-Chinese person on committee, we learned, which is really, really cool. So what? Okay. Anyway.
There's been Indonesians, but they were of Chinese descent.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, still relevant. No, it's been really cool just to see that diverse progression, and we keep our tradition, we keep our heritage, but I personally think it's been pretty cool. Just I guess because I have the benefit of seeing that history, and I don't. Yeah, I think that's pretty awesome. So.
Anyone else? Cool. We like this community. That's why we're here.
I'm glad that you do like the community, Josh. Okay. I guess still continuing on with community, but more like between yourselves as a mini community on your own. Can you tell us like what it was like working together for the first time? Like a lot of you probably like have never worked together before, and everyone has different like specialties and skills and talents that they bring, different personalities, like working personalities to the table. Like, how was it working like from the beginning compared to where you guys are at now?
Oh guys, can I vent a little bit? Like I have a lot of stuff to say right here.
Go for it.
Go for
All
it.
right, all right. So, okay, so I feel like everyone here kind of has their own thing, their own niche, and throughout this year, it's become really obvious to me that I'm like the GT pet. They like make me say stuff in Canto like a dog's doing tricks, and yeah, like you even see on the Instagram, sometimes they just post weird things of me, and just like no like asking first, just like
You're just
yeah.
the face of GT, man. That's what you are.
Yeah.
One of the posts by you though.
Yeah, one of them was by me, but that's cool. Okay. But yeah, I think going into this, I barely knew most of them, and I think it was kind of harder because of COVID, but in the times we did get to spend with each other, it was really fun. I think we're still one of the younger committees. I think last year was younger than us though, but
They were.
yeah, but we're all relatively around the same age, and it's really cool because everyone's kind of weird in their own way, and just watching it all come together. Like Jason's colorblind, and I feel like he acts like he's not. So like, yo, what color is behind us?
Well, you guys already told me it was red. But
Oh,
I do
okay.
see red, so it's okay.
Yeah, so things like that. Yeah, I'm glad we could just be a fun group. Anyone else?
Well, for me, if you guys have not checked out the handbook yet, I can't recall which page, but we have committee moments, like funny moments that we recall. And I think, well, since discernment, it has been difficult to bond with not being able to hang out in person. But the times that we did hang out in person, like from my personal experience, like it has been very memorable. So if you guys have not checked out the handbook, be sure to check out the handbook. But I will give you guys a sneak peek, or not sneak peek, but like kind of like a teaser. So on our first bonding trip, when we went hiking, it was like it was a pretty narrow route that we were walking at. It was like a dead end too. And it was a very steep cliff. And then we were walking, and then we realized that it was a dead end. Then we're like, okay, well, let's turn back. And I remember not seeing anything behind me other than like the committee members. And I think Katie and Francis like were really close to me, but Francis was leading the team. Then we were walking, and then randomly I hear,
Oh, you don't. I'm gonna like.
randomly you hear.
Oh, we should have practiced this beforehand.
Then I was so scared.
That was a bark in case.
Yeah.
You come over Zoom.
And then I was so scared because I thought it was like a really big dog, like, or an animal like right behind me because I heard it so close. Then I was like rushing Francis, like, go. And then I turn around, there's nothing. And then after I realized that it was Jason barking. Like he tried to interact with the dog that was like down the hill. So I think like, although we didn't have many in-person hangouts, but that was just one of the examples where we were able to break the ice and really have a good time planning. Like sometimes it was like our planning was very logistical, but at the same time, like there were moments where we were able to bond and have like just social moments. And like today we played, for those who have or have not heard of the game Ube, like we played that too today, like that for the first time, all 6 of us. So that was really fun too. So Ube is the ultimate bonding experience. So so be sure to check out the handbook for more funny committee moments after discernment.
I feel so bad about that. Like, committee could have ended before it even started, basically, if something terrible happened to Vic. So.
Yeah, adding on to that, I mean, I'm not answering, but I have a question for all of you. I guess why don't each of us share our favorite moment of GT?
Like
this weekend?
This weekend.
Or the
the
past
past
The
years?
entire thing, or
So, like, the past
actually, no,
year.
what do you want?
Let's do the past year so we have more sample size to draw.
Okay.
Okay, so you go first.
Oh, okay. I didn't think of it, but actually, I would say today probably.
We hated all of our Zoom meetings, I guess.
No, I mean, like, obviously there have been a lot of wonderful ones. I think like every single time we meet, I mean, we might be frustrated with the logistics, but like I think each meeting we always like learn something new about one another. But I think today, it was just really nice to be in person, like finally. Obviously, with safety precautions because of COVID, as you can see, we're all wearing masks. But yeah, like, just chilling with you guys was really nice. And not gonna lie, like, so like when we took a break between, I think after the last discussion, like I was just so tired. I think we were all just so tired. Like I think the last thing we wanted to do was play Ube. The last thing we wanted to do was like talk more and like, but I'm really glad that we did because I think like we probably shared what we would have learned about each other if we were able to meet more in person throughout the year. And I think like I really was able to like just grow on a more deeper level with each of these wonderful people beside me. And yeah, like it started off like really like, I mean, with Ube, it's kind of like as you go on, we take turns like asking questions, and the questions start off really simple, like what's your favorite color? And then it goes deeper and deeper as we share. And I think by the third question, it already went like pretty like deep. So I mean, you can imagine like how much more we could have shared about ourselves. And I mean, it's just nice to like know that like we're so different. We have like all our different personalities. Like half of us are like outgoing and half of us are just like quiet. But like, and I'm on the quiet side. But yeah, but we also have a lot of similarities, and I think like we really bonded and understood like that we've all gone through our own struggles, but in the end we've really grown from them. And especially after this year, like there's been so much growth, so much learning, and I think in the end we're all just so grateful that like we're be able to spend the day together and able to share this joy with you guys today.
You want to go next?
Yeah, for me, so today would probably be one of my favorite moments as well. But another one that's at the top as well is our community dinner. That was actually the last time, like pre-COVID, that we were actually able to be together with like everyone in the community. So I really enjoyed that. It was, don't get me wrong, it was stressful. We kind of organizing and making the dinner and kind of background story. We thought that we needed 11 bags of pasta to feed everyone, but I think in reality we only used like 4.
Yeah.
Or 3.
2.
I think it was 3, but yeah, anyway.
So yeah, we're really bad at estimating portions. But anyways, it was.
Cans.
Huh?
Cans of tomato sauce.
Yeah, we bought way too much. We're just really bad at portioning. But like it was still really fun to cook together and to serve our community and to eat dinner with everyone. So that's definitely at the top of my list. And also just to Cynthia's question, yeah, it's been really amazing to work with each and every one of you guys. It's really interesting because I feel like we all kind of fit together like a puzzle piece. And it's amazing to see how everyone's strengths and their talents were kind of shown through throughout this year. So like for Josh, like he always keeps us laughing. He always has amazing ideas. Francis is very logistical and always very organized. Jason, he is very eloquent. Like all the emails, it's because of him. All our funny, eloquent emails, that's because of him. Victoria, she's very organized. Like she is our like secretary. Every time we have a meeting, like she is our secretary. So we know everything like we'll always know, like we always kind of keep track of everything. And then Steph always has amazing ideas, and she's able to reach people. Yeah, so like everyone has their strengths and talents, and it was amazing to see how it kind of all worked together.
Why you serious?
I don't know what is
I can
it?
say. So Katie keeps us straight because like, so yeah, she is on the choir side a lot of the time, but like whenever she speaks, she's like, why don't we do this? Or like she makes a suggestion and it's just like, wow, that made so much sense. Why didn't we think of that in the first place? So like, she always has like, even if she doesn't say a lot, she always has really good ideas that just totally make sense. And we should have thought of that in the first place, but we didn't.
Not only that, but Katie, like she embodies a welcoming and like such a peaceful like atmosphere. Like I think like even if she doesn't say anything, she just brings us all like to peace, honestly. And like yeah, I just like feel so comfortable like yeah with her in these meetings.
And she saves lives while she does that because she's a nurse. So.
Thanks, guys.
When you just become strengths bombardment.
I know.
Want to know?
Yeah. What was the question again?
It was, what was your favorite moment from GT in the past 11 months?
Most memorable?
Sure.
Most memorable, well, I like undoubtedly will have to be committee meetings like over Zoom. Like I think we were like super committed, like every week at least. We would be optimistic to say that it would end in 2 hours, but sometimes it did end in 2 hours. But I think like if I would recall a moment of GT, it would definitely be committee meetings. But if I had to say what was my favorite, it would be, well, one of my favorites is rolling up t-shirts for all you guys. You guys look lovely in your GT t-shirts, and hope you enjoyed our personal notes to you guys. We really took time to write something for you guys because we really wanted to build that community. So I think I've never actually rolled that many t-shirts in my life at one time, I think. And we worked so to give you some context, like you guys can imagine how the t-shirts were being sorted out. We kind of worked in like an assembly line where like one person would read out the names and then like the size, and then another person would find the note for that person, and another person would roll the t-shirt, and then it would just keep going and going. So I think, yeah, it was really nice to be able to see that large amount of t-shirts. Although it took quite a few hours to do, but seeing you guys all wear it today, it really reminded me of that time, and I just felt like so happy to see everyone in their t-shirts. Yeah.
Cool. Yes, Lewis, you're right. My writing is microscopic. Sorry, I need to reply to something on Zoom here. But I think I will also say that my favorite memory is t-shirts as well. So yeah, the reason why I say that is just because it was our first time seeing each other since COVID hit, I think. And I hadn't realized how much I had missed seeing these guys. Like, so when I saw them, it was like they had just come down the elevator to get something from the car. And it was totally unexpected, right? Because I thought we were gonna meet them up. We did it at Katie's place. So I thought we were gonna see them up in Katie's place, and then I saw them come out of the elevator kind of thing. And it was a total surprise. And it was just like a huge emotion feeling thing of like, wow, I really miss you guys, like actually. Just because, yeah, like seeing you guys on Zoom was awesome-ish, but like it's not the same as in person. So between today and also between t-shirts, like that was a really, a pretty good moment for me, I think. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think like for me, like all of you basically already like touched upon all of it. Like it's pretty much like between like the meetings, the t-shirt, and today as well. Like today, it's nice to be able to like see how everything is coming together. Like with like yeah, like all of like the work that all of our working teams have put in for this year. And in terms of like yeah, it was definitely like nice to see committee again after not seeing them for like what, like 6 months or so. Yeah, like 6 months. at the t-shirt when we were like organizing the t-shirt. So that was definitely nice. And yeah, like in terms of like our committee dynamics, I guess, yeah, like Katie pretty much like touched upon it, and it's very interesting. I guess it's probably like God's plan to put all of us together, and it's pretty much like a puzzle piece, right? So how like each one of our like gifts are different, but when put together, it's creates a great team. So yeah.
I'll definitely go today, but to first speak on the exact same moment Jason had, where we all kind of saw each other for the first time at Katie's, and I was just like overfilled with joy because it was like after seeing these people on Zoom for so long, and you kind of stop feeling like they're real people. It's like, wow, like, am I actually talking to committee or am I just getting pranked right now? So finally being with each other really just brought so much joy, and that kind of just comes back to today, where throughout all of the GT, every like mishap or every funny thing, it's just felt so peaceful to be with everyone, and I kind of just like kind of wish like this whole GT day can continue going on forever, because I haven't had so much fun in a long time. I was gonna say in my life, I was like, nah. There's been fun stuff pre-COVID, you know. I'm not a huge fan of masks, but yeah, and I think also just what's always been really memorable is been praying with some of you, especially throughout all our meetings. But we usually have like prayer and like a spiritual question, and this kind of allows us to both grow deeper in our faith with God and pray with each other and just learn about each other. And because of that, it's just I felt like I got to know these people in ways that you wouldn't normally be able to with just a random group of people, because it's definitely providence that we're here together. I don't think that under normal circumstances we would all be friends. I mean, a lot of these people are already like high key friends for a long time, but yeah, us six as a group, you know, as a collective.
Yeah.
I love all your answers, and they're so full of like just watching you guys talk about each other and your experiences together. You can tell that you're so full of joy and just love for each other, which is really nice to see, especially like given that you weren't able to see each other for 6 months. So like you don't have the normal like bonding times that other committees would usually have. So it's so great to see that you're still so like close in friendship, and then you're able to share in these moments together. Yeah, so I'm just gonna move into another question. This is more about, I guess, like the not so great stuff about being on committee. Like there's obviously the great stuff with like relationship building and like strengthening your prayer life, but also being on committee means that you guys gave up like 8 months, dedicated 8 months of your time, or maybe 9 months, I don't even know, to committing yourselves to this role. So what sacrifices did you guys have to make as committee members?
I mean, across the board, first of all, it's like 3 hours a week for us to stay in a meeting. From like pre-COVID, I swear it was like 9 to 12. And then once COVID happened, this is the one good thing about COVID. We got to meet an hour earlier, so we could go to bed at 11 instead.
I think we started at 9:30.
9:30.
Like before
Before
COVID.
COVID,
Our
okay.
meetings started at 9:30. Yeah.
Okay, we still went really late, and so yeah. But then on top of that, we have working team leads and working team members and leadership formation. So anyone want to talk about theirs?
Here's how I would answer that question, and maybe it's just how I look at it, is I think when you enter into any kind of ministry role, you need to have that expectation that there will be sacrifices, right? Maybe like for me, I'm into sports and I didn't get to watch the Raptors game tonight. That can be quote unquote called a sacrifice. Obviously there are other things too, but yeah, ultimately it's a new time commitment, um, and that's just how it is. And I think that's how the expectation should be, but it's not just, it doesn't just stop there, right? Like it's not just a sacrifice, but more so it's how you are offering up your time for God, right? Ministry work is all about service, and you're serving God first and foremost, of course, but you're also serving all the people that you're working with, that you are working for. So that being the retreatants. And I think at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. So you can choose to look at it as like, oh, I'm giving something up, but you could also just choose to look at it as I'm giving something of myself as a gift. And I think all six of us did a really good job of that throughout the entire year. So to be honest, like I don't know if any of us have anything really to say for this question, but maybe to round it off, I would just say that it starts off with how you set your expectations at the beginning, I think.
I think I like to add to that. It's like despite like all of like the meetings like between like the working team leads or working team members, committee and like leadership formation, like between like all of those meetings, yeah, like it's like a lot of meetings, and sometimes it's like it feels like as if I'm getting on like a call with some GT group like every day of the week during the summer, and yeah, it's like it's challenging at times, and it might make you like slightly exhausted sometimes, but like it like through that is what comes out of that is like growth. And so it's like I don't really see it as like a negative. I see it as like the time that I commit to it is it's more of a positive thing. And like looking back at it, like I wouldn't have done it any differently. Like despite it being like COVID this year and all the time I have committed, like yeah, I still would have wanted to be on committee this year with 5 other people here.
I want to quickly respond to Father David. Thank you for your appreciation. We are really grateful for your presence too. In case you don't know, Father David has been a supporter of GT for like years and years and years, and he keeps coming back, which is amazing. You're the best. And he has a workshop. Go check that out in the handbook, page 18 to 22, somewhere in there.
Just to add something about meetings, like I'm not speaking for everyone, but majority of them are still kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like one thing about committees that yeah, it seems like a lot of work, but we're all here because ministry is also enjoyable. To constantly be building relationships with people, to be like putting together the puzzle of a retreat, getting everything put together. It's really cool to see it all come together. But then you look back and it's like, yeah, I really enjoyed the grind, and just seeing how it turns out in the end, it's just a cherry on top, you know?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, I mean, despite all of like the work, probably like, I think between all of us, like, we all openly like communicated like our availabilities, and like kind of like we were very understanding of one another. Like for myself, like I was finishing up my last year or my last term of university, so I was pretty like busy with school, because like I was kind of like dealing with adapting to an online education system. It was definitely different for me and difficult for me because I mean, with the stress of school piled up with all these meetings, like I made sure that I was communicating with committee, like, yeah, like I'm going to, like when I will be busy because of certain exams and things. And I mean, they were all very understanding. And I think like they all did the same, like whenever something important came up. So I would say that like just having that honest communication with your committee members and developing that trust really helps to just make things a lot smoother. But also like, I think like I learned a lot from, I guess, previous or like being part of like facilitating previous retreats where I would get burned out really easily like the couple days before the retreat. And I think it was because I was, I guess, not communicating properly or like putting all the stress on myself to kind of make everything perfect. But I think with this year, like, honestly, I was not like, I kind of went into the retreat, like, not really, I guess, having anything pre-planned, but kind of just really trusted that God would really guide me through this, that, like just being open to the Holy Spirit really working through me and just like speaking to what God calls me to speak, and not stressing over every tiny detail. And I think that has really helped me to just let go and let God. And I think probably for all of you too, like, yeah, it's just when you, I guess, when you give into like the freedom of God taking over your life and just allowing God to control you and kind of, I mean, like, that might sound terrible. Sorry. Like just letting, yeah, like, how do I say this?
Let God do his will.
Yeah, let God do his will. It's just so beautiful. And like, even now, like, I don't know what I'm saying, but but I think it really is just the Holy Spirit moving in all of us, and not trying to be too controlling. And yeah, like I don't think I've been stressed at all this weekend. I don't know about you guys, but yeah, it's been pretty carefree so far. So, and yeah, I had fun, and I think we all had fun.
I think one last point like I want to mention is like aside from all the Zoom calls or GT meetings, like it may sound intimidating and overwhelming, but it really is worth it at the end when you see the fruits that come out of this weekend. Hearing your feedback, whether things that went well or things that probably did not, like there was room for improvement, but also I think some trade-offs or some sacrifices that I personally made, or maybe some of committee too, is like the social aspect, not being able to hang out, like well, because of COVID, you're not supposed to anyways, but not, like sometimes you're not able to hang out as much with your family or with your friends or like with your significant other. But like personally me, like I'm really grateful for all those people in my life that like this past year, I wasn't necessarily able to spend as much time with you guys because I was planning for committee, but I just want to give a huge shout out to you guys. Virtual hug. Thank you for coming. I'm very grateful for you guys. Hopefully you guys are in this call. You guys know who you are. And also thank you to the 101, yeah, I think I read 101 participants that are listening right now. Like, thank you so much for being here, for signing up, for listening to our sharing. Like this has really made it worthwhile for me, and I'm sure for our committee and all our working team leads and support teams that have been helping us along the way. So thank you so much. It's because of you guys that continues that you guys are here that we continue to stay motivated to do this and to kind of build our work together, to journey together in our spiritual journey together. Like we may be growing like separately and individually, but together, like we're all here for each other. So yeah, I think although there are sacrifices, I think that the benefits weigh more than the cons. Is that what they say? Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you guys for coming today and like this weekend. Thanks, Cynthia.
Just a quick note, we do have, it's almost 10, but we still have a few questions in the Slido that I wanted to cover with you guys. But if anybody needs to leave, like feel free to do that, and we'll see you tomorrow afternoon. Yes, because mass is in the morning and then programs begins, I think, 1:30.
All right, to be clear, go to mass on your own in the morning, and then actual GT program starts at 1:30 p.m. Show up at 1:20, 1:15.
Yes. And eat lunch too before you come.
That's important.
Yeah. So if you want to stay to listen more, if you have any more questions you want to ask, the Slido is still open. I will be going through those now. Yeah, so I think one of the trending questions, I guess, a common theme is like, what exactly is discernment, and like the discernment process, what is it, and what is that form for?
Okay.
Yeah.
You want me to?
Yeah, you go.
Sure.
So every year, as you guys know, well, maybe you don't. So every year, we go through this process to select what has become the six of us, which is committee. Just because we believe that, you know, to plan this retreat, it is a year-long commitment, right? It's 11 to 12 months. And it's something where anyone who takes on the role of something like committee, GT as a group wants to make sure that you are going to, like, that you're fully in, right? And to be able to make that kind of a decision, you really need to, first of all, bring it to God. And that's what discernment is, right? It's a big decision, and you want to make that decision with God. You're inviting God into your decision-making process, essentially. So that's essentially what the discernment thing is. And so what happens, typically, I'll talk about normal non-COVID times. What happens is anyone who feels like they're called to become in committee, it's not a full out decision or anything, but if you feel like you're interested, if you want to check it out, or maybe you do feel like you are like born for a committee or something, you gather at a retreat house for a full day retreat. It's something like 9 to 5-ish, roughly. And yeah, you just take the day to think about whether or not, think and pray about whether or not you want to do a committee for the next 12 months. Does that cover it, essentially?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I guess one thing to note about discernment day is that it's pretty unpredictable. So there's a board where everyone puts their name on, and these are the eligible people for committee to be voted on. And then throughout the day, they can take off their name. And it's really unbelievable how many people get like pushed by the spirit to just leave their name on it. And that always comes out into like really amazing committees, and that people didn't expect they would be on. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's typically how it works in a non-COVID world. In the COVID situation, we are still trying to figure out what discernment will look like, but the process in like the concept is the same, where we're trying to put together some kind of probably online retreat where we want to enable anyone who's interested in becoming committee to have a discernment process where they can invite God into their decision making, right? So yeah, I mean, because of COVID, it's probably going to be online. We do know that the first date will be October 3rd. So that's a Saturday. We don't know what the time will be. We don't know what it's going to look like. We'll figure that out in the coming weeks. But if you are interested in becoming committee, then mark that date on your calendar. If you know of someone who you think would be a good, I guess, nominee for committee, that's what the discernment box form is for. So that Google form that was sent out, just put in that person's name, and then what we're going to do is contact them and be like, hey, you were nominated for GT21 committee discernment. Would you like to come to this online retreat that we're holding to help you with, or yeah, to help select GT21 committee kind of thing?
So this year we're mainly focusing on choosing the next committee, but also discernment is also, I mean, like in previous years, it has been used to select working team leads, and just like generally is really helpful, like to discern whether or not you want to, yeah, like commit your time or help out and take on a more active role in the community. Yeah, like I think tomorrow we're going to talk about the different teams that you can be part of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Roughly.
I don't know.
Roughly. What?
Yeah, roughly.
Because we are now.
But yeah, so there will be like, and I think, I don't know, is it in the handbook? There's like short, blurbs from each of the different working teams. So like wherever you feel like your talents are being called towards, like we'd love for you to help us out. We have a lot of people behind the scenes that have like helped make this retreat happen. So thank you to you all.
Okay, so I hope that clarifies those questions that people had about it. Yeah, about discernment. So our next really upvoted question, the first upvoted question I'll save for later, but one of them is, why did you choose this year's theme?
Okay, so I think we were considering the last couple of years' themes, and it was something that we just wanted to build on. And sorry, I just want to address that question that was left in the chat. Yes, thank you, Cynthia. So anyone who might be a little bit tired, it's been a long day, definitely feel free to leave. We're not going to think you're rude or whatever, so don't worry about that at all. Thank you for joining, if anything. And see you tomorrow at 1:15 p.m. actually. Okay, the question, right? So the last couple of years, we looked at like GT18, and it was Upon This Rock, and it was basically about, I didn't go, but it was about building a solid foundation for your faith, right? GT19, Ignition Discernment, right?
Now I begin.
Now I begin. So it was more about trying to use something called Ignatian, the Ignatian method and Ignatian meditation to try to build up your faith life, where you can look at, who wants to help me out on this?
You can have some tools. So they gave out prayer cards for morning offering and
Tools.
and evening examine. So just types of tools where you can practice your faith.
It's like practical tools as well that you can use during your day-to-day life.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you. So this is why we're a committee and we're a big puzzle. And then so for this year, we wanted to build on that in terms of just looking at how we can become better disciples of Christ, right? 2 years ago, we received a solid foundation. Last year, we took a step forward and received tools in terms of how to continue building on that faith life. Now we're really trying to focus into what is really kind of the overarching theme of intentional discipleship. Our official theme is nothing but you, Lord. But the inspiring concept behind that was intentional discipleship, right? Like, how can we become truly focused on making sure that we are following in Jesus' footsteps, right? And so I think the way Father Eric has structured his talks, habits of relationship, habits of prayer, habits of evangelization. We're going to post a bonus talk on habits of sacramental life. These kind of like 4 pillars are what intentional discipleship kind of revolve around, right? All these different ways for you to truly become a disciple of Christ. And I think the most important part is taking initiative in your faith life, right? Because unless you kind of own it and take that initiative, it's the difference between being, just going along for the ride versus actually steering the boat, I guess, if that analogy makes sense. So I think that was our thought process that went into it.
And like that is like a part of it is like we were thinking about like the intent, and intentional is like one of our favorite words for like this committee's like favorite word. And like from that it's I guess it does lead to like some of like our patron saints that we do have we have explained in the handbook. And a part of it is like it's not like how big or small you do like a certain task. It's really about like the intent or like the love that's like behind doing that. And Josh, would you explain?
Check out our handbook.
That works too.
Yeah,
just check out the handbook.
And our social media posts, we posted it today, the last 3, starting yesterday, and there will also be one tomorrow too. So if you don't follow us on social media, be sure to follow us too, and Facebook and Instagram.
Wow, we really promo during this.
What's our handle?
The links are on the handbook.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for sharing that, your thought process. I think it's really useful for everyone to hear kind of like your intentions behind it.
Wow.
Okay, so we just had a really quick question. It's more like logistics for tomorrow. Will there be more breakout room time with our groups?
There will not. We are done with our group discussions.
Okay, thank you. So just want to clear that one. Okay, so the most upvoted one, drum roll. How do you play ube?
Oh no, Josh.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so
3rd time today.
yeah, so UBE, acronym for Ultimate Bonding Experience. So Ube is a game where he's you start off at level 1, and each level corresponds to a arbitrary level of deepness or intimacy in questions. So starting at level 1, one person will ask a question to the group, and this is the most basic, most shallow question. So like, what's your favorite color, or what's your favorite animal? And then everyone will go around in a circle, with the person who asked the question being last. And then the next person will in the circle will ask the next question, but the level has increased, so they must ask a question that is either like 1 or any level more deeper than the previous. And yeah, it gets pretty deep really fast. So if you ever want to bond with some people, you can go from 0 to 100 real quick, you know. Yeah.
What is an example of a level 100 question?
Oh,
You don't have to tell us the answer, just like a question.
yo, I swear the highest low we always get is, what's your biggest insecurity? That breaks people. Oof.
That's a really good one, and kind of reflects back on Father Eric's talks today about being vulnerable in your relationships with people. So yeah, like Ube, great game. Very new game. Great game. Okay, what else? Do you believe it was more effort or less to plan and run a virtual retreat compared to an in-person retreat?
I think the difficulties and the efforts are different. A lot of our time online was just spent figuring out how to do a virtual retreat, because this is the first one. So we were kind of just left hanging, and just trying to put together like what actually works. How many hours do we keep people together? What's the best way to deliver content? That's why so many new things are happening, like self-directed programming with workshops and this interactive style of talks, and these long breaks where you don't have to be at your computer. So those are all things we kind of have to figure out and test run throughout the year. And I guess another thing that about this like COVID reality of being online is that just the stress of being on the computer all the time. Like we do have a lot of meetings, and just always being at home means additional meetings to be on your computer does take a little extra effort, and it kind of exhausts you over time. But that's just to be normal. But it is different. Like being here at GT itself, you find that it kind of runs smoother in a sense. There's a lot more moving parts in a physical GT, and the difficulties that we have is like mostly just technical. Yeah, some of them we have encountered before, but they're a lot more manageable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I give a quick shout out to Adam, who is like our 10-person multimedia team? He's been managing all the multimedia stuff, and like Josh was saying, like, you know, everything that is Zoom related, and like it's a whole new experience, right? Like trying to figure out breakout rooms. Like there's a lot more nuances than you would think. And Adam is the person behind all of that. So shout out Adam.
I think in terms of like the planning, I like to say that like our attitude towards like planning this retreat was like we tried to make like the best virtual retreat as possible, and we didn't really think of it as any less than what a physical retreat would have been. So like obviously with like the different styles, there's like the different planning involved, but our attitude towards like planning this retreat was the same.
That sounds good. So I believe all the questions were answered that were on the Slido, except why are they all wearing a mask? I'm assuming it's just for like health and safety purposes.
Yes, wear a mask.
And also because it makes you guys look cool and mysterious.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Retreat committee, you should do this.
I'm sorry. I'm going to skip that. One last question before we wrap up. Can you just describe your experience on committee and the GT community. So one word for each, just one word.
Sorry, can you ask that question again?
So just one word for your overall experience on committee and another word for how to describe the GT community for you.
One word for GT community, one word for what?
Your experience on committee. Okay, if you've seen my emails, I can't do one word. Like they're like 10 pages long.
Give you guys a moment to think about that. I know I just sprung that one on you. In the meantime, yes, the handbook has all the information about their explanations behind the theme, more about the fun committee memories. I guess Vic kind of spoiled the entire story already, so it wasn't really a preview, but you can read the entire thing there as well. Yeah.
Yeah. You guys got words?
Okay, I can go. The community, GT community, we're thriving. That would be one word that I would say.
She's a librarian.
And then in terms of our GT community, committee, we're strong together.
Okay. I stand behind that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Vic's book for all of us.
Hmm?
Are we saying Vic's book for all of us?
Vic's book?
Vic's book for all of us, or are we trying to think of words?
I think for committee, I'd say like resilient is definitely like something that describes our committee, like based on all of like our like how we approach like the transition to like a virtual retreat and like all of like the challenges that we had to deal with this new format. So resilience is how I would describe committee. And for the community, I'd say growth, because like they're quite interesting. Like despite it being online, like honestly, like yeah, like I was quite surprised at like at the number of people that would show up for a virtual retreat. Like like personally, I'm just not sure if people would be like as open to the idea of sitting in front of a screen for throughout this much, like throughout an entire day. So obviously like they had to be like interested in like some sort of growth in order for them to sign up and show up and stay for the entire thing.
My word for committee is supportive, and my word for the community is loving. That's all.
Those are great. For a man of a lot of words, that was really good.
I had to think really hard.
My word was supportive, but Jason stole it. So, well, supportive, I would say it could work for both committee and our community.
Cop out.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so for committee, I was gonna say something along supportive, but then Jason also took it. So I'll go with understanding. Just because like everyone is cares about everyone's lives and how we're all doing. And it takes effort to understand who we all are and to kind of work around that. And for the community, I'll just say fun. Everyone's pretty fun here. It's really cool to see new people. Everyone's kind of like really set on fire with the Holy Spirit, and it brings about like really entertaining like small groups and when we're in person, like fun games overnight and that. Yeah.
Okay, I guess really quickly, our community I'd say is diverse, not only like based on our ethnic background, but I think like everyone is unique in their own way, and we all come from like different areas, have different backgrounds, and just so many stories to share. And our committee is selfless. I think like we, especially because of this year, we all made our own sacrifices, small and big, and but they have contributed to just the greater glory of God. So, I'm done.
All right. Any final thoughts from you guys? Just gonna check the chat again. Not chat, the Slido.
I'm good.
Okay. I guess I just want to wrap up by saying quickly, well, first of all, thank you guys for staying 18 minutes longer than you needed to listen to us share and whatever. I think so. But I really want to highlight that the point of this, the last hour and 18 minutes, was not to just not to put a spotlight on us and, you know, all the things that we've given up or all the things that we've done to make this retreat happen or whatever. Hopefully that's obvious, but like, you know, just in case it isn't, it's not about that. It's really more so kind of our way of doing a testimony, really, and bearing witness to, yeah, the journey that we've had, but bearing witness to help with the discernment process for next year. I think for GT21 committee, the incoming committee, yeah, there's uncertainty, right? Who knows what's going to happen with COVID and another wave, and who knows if next year is going to be online or in person. But a lot of what we were saying earlier was just, you know, so much of this has to do with just trusting in God and letting Him steer the ship. And so far this weekend has been pretty okay, to say the least. I think like we're pretty happy with how it's turned out, and that is because we just kind of let go and let God, like Steph was saying, right? Just let God do whatever He needed to do to make this work, and we just did our best to make it happen. But God is the one who produces the fruit, right? He's the one who plants the seeds, and hopefully you guys have been touched this weekend. We still have another half day tomorrow, touched in some way by Christ, right? So last thing is really just hopefully you guys do consider either going to discernment yourselves or nominating someone for discernment, just because, yeah, it's a really important thing. And hopefully our stories tonight have shed some light onto what that journey is like.
Thanks for that. There's also a little bit more, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but they share a little more about like their whole journey in the handbook as well. Not trying to advertise handbook, but there's just a lot of stuff in there.
Well, the handbook is great and it's worth advertising, so.
Handbook plug, yes. Yeah, so there's a lot there. Thank you, committee, for sharing today. And yeah.
Yes.
and scene.